In this section, we're going to finally finish demystifying this basic Java program that we've been using all over the place to learn many different things. Initially, right, we kind of first started learning about variables, started learning about classes, kind of learning about keywords. But now, right, we've finally seen arrays. So this part here, right, this argument here, finally will make a little bit more sense. As a whole, this is what the basic program does. First of all, right, Java is going to require that all our code is written in a class. So we're going to use our class notation to define a public class, a simple program. It has to be public so that everybody has sort of the right to run this program. Then inside of here, we have our method, right? We have our entry point called main. So main is a public thing, again, so everybody can access it. Static, so that it can be accessed without an object instance. Void, because it doesn't return anything. And then the name of it, right, has to be main. That's a standard, right? That says this is where your program starts. And then our one parameter is an array of strings called args. Args is short for arguments. So this is our basic program. You may be thinking, though, what is args all about? Why do we have to have that parameter there? What does that even do? So let me show you. What I'm actually going to do here is write in a line of code or a couple lines of code to display what's in args. So let me type in for string, right? It's an array of strings. String s in args system.out.println of s, right? So finally, after all this time, we're going to be able to see what's in that args variable. So let's compile this, run this, see what we get. Over here, the output's going to show up in terminal window. Let me click OK. Blank. Nothing to see. That args variable is normally empty. The purpose of args is actually command line arguments. I'm running this from a GUI, and I'm just kind of clicking compile and run, so it doesn't actually have any arguments. But let's actually go to command line window and try that. What does it mean to give a program arguments? Over here, I'm in cmd.exe. So this is the DOS prompt window, which some of you may have seen. Some of you, well, I'm going to guess most of you won't have seen this before. But this is kind of the original way people had to interact with computers, right? Via console. Or if you're, I suppose if you're on Linux or Mac, right, you're more familiar with this. But this is what we have over in Windows. So let's see what happens if I try to run this program. So if I'm trying to run Java from just this window, what I need to type is this: Java, then the name of my program, a simple program. And well, I could just type that, right? I could press enter, nothing will happen, right? That's kind of the equivalent of what I did in BlueJ when I just clicked compile and I clicked run. Actually, this part here is just running it. It's not doing a compile. But what I can also do is type additional things after a simple program, right? So this here is just telling, oh, Java, run this. But I could also type something like this: -read input.txt, and then we press enter. Now notice that it's printing out something, right? So the program actually did something. It's printing out the arguments, right? The text that comes after me running this program in the console window, right? So I have this first part here to run it, and then what I have is I have, my -read space input.txt, right? So that array that Java has there called args, it's giving me all the text that comes after the program, right? When the program was being run at the command prompt, right? Being run in the console, the bits of text that were entered in after it. This is nice because it gives me an additional way to control my program, right? So I can have my program read in parameters from the user, right? The user can type in, oh, I want to read in input, right? Or maybe I want to read in test file, right? .txt. Well, what I can do is I can have my program set up to load those names that are given as arguments, right? Given as arguments at this console window, load those, from the disk, right? Instead of defining everything in a variable or prompting the user for them, I can actually just read them from the console, right? From whenever the user types in to run the program, right? I can read those bits of text. Those are the different arguments that are going to go to your program. And there can be any number of those, right? So maybe we have input2.txt. Maybe we have output as out.txt. Whatever it is, Java will read it in, put it into that array, right? So then you're able to use those. So this is kind of a basic example of what command arguments are. We're not really going to go into how to use them. It's kind of a more advanced thing. If you do want to use them, maybe you don't want to use the command prompt window all the time. The way you can actually access this in BlueJ is if you go up to your program, you click to run it like we normally do, but over here, instead of just clicking OK, you can actually type in stuff, right? So I could type in over here. Let me go, we'll go -read again, and we'll put our input.txt. This is here, right? This is going to be our command line arguments, but for the BlueJ interface. And over here, what I'm doing is I'm using the static array initializer list, right? I'm using that curly braces and commas thing, right? I'm using it to statically type in what it is that I want to have as command line arguments to my program. So now if I click OK in BlueJ, it should run and then show me those two pieces of information. And here we go. That's now being printed over in my BlueJ window. So at this point, you should know everything. So at this point, we've finally been able to figure out this kind of basic Java program, right? It took us a few chapters, but in the end, we got there.